You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
I don't understand why you don't trust us.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Welcome to Oilersnation Radio, episode 59. I am your friendly neighborhood bag milk. To my left is Tyler Yaremchuk on the board. To my right is the Nation Dan, Rick, and Nick Lausgood completing the panel. As always, I want to start off by thanking our friends at Sherwood Ford, the Giant, out in beautiful Sherwood Park, Alberta. You can follow them on Twitter at Sherwood Ford and on Instagram at SherwoodFord_the Giant. Just to get you everybody updated on the Frank versus Gus good boy battle. My man has lost a little bit of ground now, and it's upsetting. Frank is 6-5 now in the season. Gus 3-8. Though we had another phantom pick from Gus last night. I won't blame him. I know he's busy. He is the ambassador of smiles. He's got things to do. He's got people to see. I get it. Dan, what else they got going on?
They are scaring hunger, and it is still Scare Hunger Month, so you can bring down your non-perishable food items to help out Sherwood Ford feeding the Strathcona County Food Bank. And then, as well, we're going to be doing Movember with our Sherwood Ford team. So stay tuned to our social channels for that big announcement, and you'll be able to join our team as well.
If you are a fan of mustaches and facial hair in general, you are going to love our Movember team. Everybody does. Just like we all loved last night's comeback versus the Washington Capitals. My Lord. But before we get to that, I got to bring up a very important topic also relating to last night's game. Our very own Tyler Yaremchuk, star of the Kiss Cam. He went up there, although he did not win the prize.
No, I was pissed.
You were featured.
Didn't talk to my girlfriend the rest of the night. I was like, you didn't fucking bring it.
What was your strategy going in when you saw yourself up there?
So Kiss Cam starts, and I turned to her, and I was like, all right, what's our plan when we get on? And she was like, we're not going to get on. There's no cameras around us. I was like, there's cameras everywhere. And I was like, we need a plan. We need to do something. She was like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take my hat off. Nation Gear, City of Champs one that I got at the golf tournament.
Beauty.
And I was like, and I'll put it on you, and then we'll go in for the kiss. That's, get the crowd into it. And so we did exactly that. Like right after we started talking about it, we looked up, and there it was. We were on the screen, so we went at it. It was a blur. It was good. I thought I did a good job.
I think you did a good job. I was sitting there.
Didn't win because some chick basically gave a dude a lap dance like 2 people later.
So really, it was the girlfriend who kind of stopped you from winning.
I think so.
Right? I mean, if we just look at it.
I'm not calling her out.
No, of course
she's great.
not.
Going forward, though, do you feel like you would have a different approach on your next attempt on the Kiss Cam?
Yeah, if I had a little bit more time, I think what I would do, I think the hat on her is a good move. But what I should have done is I should have polished my beer and then went in. One of my $5 beers.
That's true.
And then I should have gone in. Yeah. I feel like that would have gotten the crowd going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they tend to turn off the cameras for
pretty
people
quick
that pound the beers back. For some reason, it's good content.
Just got to drink fast then.
But yeah, you got to drink it fast and then get
down the hatch.
Yeah, just pound it and then like burp in her face.
Or just do the mouthwash with the beer. Just gargle with the beer and then
spit it
go
on
for
her.
the kiss.
Oh, I thought you were going to go to spit it on her.
No.
That would have been bold.
That would be a good way to get yourself.
But no, it was
out.
fun. I've been going. I mean, me and her have gone to a handful of games, but that was our first time on the Kiss Cam, so it was exciting.
I'm sure our friends at Sherwood Ford would be proud of you, Tyler.
Thank you, Sherwood Ford.
I know I'm proud of you. Just like I'm proud of our boys for coming back against the Capitals despite being down 3-1 after 40 minutes. I'm going to go ahead. This is a safe space. There's nobody listening to this outside of the 5 of us in this room. I will go ahead and admit that after 40, I didn't feel so good about it. Oilers were down by 2 goals. Capitals were looking good in the second period. I wasn't feeling so confident. You, Tyler?
Yeah, like when they went down 3-1, like this year though, they've come back a few times, and when they do go down, there's always that little part of me that's like, man, Connor can do this in a shift, right? Like Connor and Leon can bang home 2 quick.
And they basically did.
So yeah, and they basically did. And that's always in the back of your head. It's like, you know what, as long as it's within 2 heading into the third period, the Oilers will have a chance to come back. And that's exactly what it was last night. Even though they went down 3-1, it's not like they were really playing bad at any point. And that also gave me some hope.
Holtby stood on his head.
He was good.
Absolutely. You were there last night as well. What do you think?
I thought it was a great game. Like it was, you go down by 2, you bring it back in the third. That third period by McDavid was ridiculous. What he was able to do on that ice. Like I watched the NHL in 30 this morning. I think I watched it 3 times in the loop. Enjoyed every one of them. But what he did when he go around the defenseman, like I don't know who the fuck Jensen is, but that dude just stood there. Connor put the puck through his feet and then ducked around him, and Holtby went, and that thing went up so fast. If crossbar and out, but man, was that close.
Yeah, Holtby didn't even react for like a solid half of a second after. Like, that was an unbelievable play.
I was hoping that we would have seen more replays of that play because I want to know how close that got to actually be going on. Nick earlier was talking about, thought maybe it might have kissed the crossbar.
It definitely hit the crossbar.
Man, like that went from 0 to 60 around the defender up over Holtby in a blink.
And then
incredible.
He did the one where he went down the right side as well, and then cut back into the net.
Yeah, it was like
and went upstairs again
4 different times in the third period where Connor just took it on his back and went for it.
You knew a performance like that was coming when he's been held off the score sheet for 3 games, right? It's just a matter of when he's going to bust it out, and he did exactly that.
I was worried I was going to have to throw my hat. Like, I went to the game and I was like, "Fuck!"
Did you wear a nice hat?
I was wearing my new hat, my new pint hat.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I was like, I'm going to have to throw it. Like, I talked to a couple boys that were going to the game as well, and I was like, "Hey guys, I don't want to see either one of you coming back with a hat tonight if someone scores 3."
One of those people wasn't Jay, was it? Because we know that he is a habitual non-hat thrower.
No,
I'm not a big hat thrower either.
I will chuck any hat I'm wearing.
Yeah,
I don't care.
What are you
I've
even
done it.
talking about?
I've done it.
Come on now.
I don't know if I'm
How
wearing
many
a
hat
nice
tricks have you seen in your life?
Connors on opening night against the
And
Flames.
did you throw your hat or not?
Nope, I was wearing.
Unbelievable.
I was nice hats, man. Like hats cost like $40.
Yeah, but it doesn't
To
matter.
what? For the half second of joy where I throw my hat on the ice?
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
and
it
then
goes
the
to a
eternal
good
glory
cause.
afterwards.
I saw Boyd Devereaux score a hat trick.
And you threw your hat?
No, I wasn't wearing a hat.
Okay, all
I
right.
saw Ryan Jones
That's
score
the
his
only
hat trick.
hat trick.
Nice.
Actually,
And?
the other hat trick I've seen was Jerome McGinley in Calgary score a hat trick against us. That was brutal.
Yeah.
Ryan Malone's goal.
Ryan Jones?
Or Ryan Jones? Did
No.
you?
Nope.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. Like, if I was wearing like a crappy hat I didn't care about, but like when I go to games, I like to wear a nice hat.
I love hats. They're like a huge passion of mine, and I still throw a hat every single time.
I saw
my hat was signed by Jonathan Torrance, and I threw that.
I saw Leon score a hat trick in the playoffs against Anaheim, and I chucked my hat. It was my favorite hat. You have to do it.
That was the new one, wasn't it? Because I was
Yeah.
at that game too.
It was a brand new hat. I loved it, and I threw it. But karma got back to me because I caught a signed hat from Mark Letestu after he got like 3rd star of the game or whatever it was.
Like over the glass.
Yeah, he chucked. That was the game that I sold out, and I had StubHub tickets, and I was sitting right behind the Oilers bench for the playoffs.
Yeah, when they just approached you, like, "Excuse me, Mr. Bagged Milk.
That's right.
Oh,
Here
yeah,
are
and
2 free tickets to the hockey game if you'd like to go, and
That's
tell
right.
everyone where you got them from."
And StubHub is still getting money from it because we're mentioning him right now.
Absolutely.
Wasn't there something to it like Fitbit that you did?
Yeah, I had to wear a Fitbit, and basically I had to take pictures of my wrist a couple of times during the game and tweet out pictures showing that like my heart rate was elevated, which it was. So it was kind of cool. It was a cool experience. But yeah, I got to take my dad to his first ever playoff game. We sat right behind the Oilers bench. Terrible seats, by the way.
Horrible.
Yeah, sitting front row sucks ass.
But at a playoff game, you're getting like all the energy is right into you.
That part was great, but I had to watch the game more or less on those screens that are underneath the Jumbotron because you couldn't see anything. Todd McClellan's beautiful ass was right in front of my face. The trainer
200-foot
did
screens.
throw a smelling salt to me. That was cool.
Did you? Were you like, hey?
Well, he was just kind of doing it, and I was just kind of staring at what he was doing. I don't remember who had one, and he was pointing at me, and he cracked one and threw it up over the glass to me, and wow, those are potent.
Those are like.
I want to do that. I've never done one before.
It's awesome,
I've done
man.
one.
You feel it in the back of your brain, like instantly. It's incredible. It really is.
great.
Speaking of incredible, we've been talking about Connor going Connor. One thing that I thought was interesting, I was running the Oilers Nation HQ Twitter account last night, as I do, and there were a lot of people tweeting at the account talking about what's wrong with Connor. What's going on with Connor? Should we be panicking about Connor? Because he'd gone 3 games without a point. It was kind of quiet over a couple of those games. It happens over the span of an 82-game season. But then in the 3rd period, he went supernova, and all of those people miraculously disappeared.
But I mean,
So my question is, Dan, we'll start with you.
Sorry.
At any point were you worried about Connor McDavid?
you get it. You understand people feeling that way just because Connor, we're so used to Connor looking superhuman. And there was a couple of dekes at the start of the year. There was a couple of plays even in the Chicago game, I think it was, where you're just kind of like, man, like Connor just doesn't look like Connor. And so I understand the fear, but I'm not calling the guy out for anything for damn certain. And that was nonsense to hear.
The Chicago game, is that the one where you got 5 points?
No, we lost.
No,
that
they
game.
lost that
Oh,
game.
my bad.
What?
Yeah,
what
no, the guy was
me.
leading the league in points.
Yeah.
Like he just wasn't doing it like
It was a
with
quiet
those big,
lead.
massive
crazy.
things like he did last night. But he was doing it, man. Like he's putting up assists everywhere.
You're almost just a little bit numb. Like I wouldn't blame an Oilers fan for being numb to the greatness, though.
Yeah, we're
right?
spoiled, aren't
Well,
we?
that's where I put out that tweet from Buddy from ESPN Washington, who I'm guessing probably has never seen Connor play, but he put out the tweet saying that Connor, how is Connor like
the best? Or,
the
I
best
saw that.
player by like, and it's not even close. And we kind of forget the fact that we are watching the best player of all time. Not maybe, but right now the best
the
player
most
in the
electrifying
NHL.
player
Yes.
of all time for
They
sure.
keep getting the
Right now.
athleticism keeps getting better, so it's really tough to argue against that.
But I think you could say like Bob McKenzie today on the Nielsen show I should have pulled up that audio too, but he was just saying like Mario never did stuff like this. Wayne never did stuff like this. Like every one of those legends is great in their own regards, but Connor is just different.
Well, and he's just dancing, guys.
Yeah.
Like, dancing.
That's that speed, man, and he can do everything at 100 miles an hour.
Well, that's the thing too, is like there's a lot of guys in the NHL that are fast, maybe not as fast as him, but their hands don't match what their feet are doing.
Your hands
And
should
the
not
brain.
be able to go that fast.
Where Connor is the exact opposite, where everything is in perfect sync.
So smooth.
It's unbelievable. Another guy, obviously, Leon Draisaitl had 3 points last night, 2 goals, including. And I just want to laugh at myself here for a second. At the beginning of the third period, I said that I thought the boys need to simplify a little bit, stop making so many passes, and just shoot towards the net, go for something greasy. And then almost immediately after, Connor and Leon execute one of their perfect 2-on-1s. They did it again in OT. And it's just kind of funny that I just have to shut my mouth sometimes. But Leon is an absolute warlord. Again this season. He's on pace for another 50-goal year. Everybody, I don't know, we're lucky to have not only Connor to watch on a nightly basis, but I think we're lucky to have Leon to watch on a nightly basis as well.
100%.
And the reason I'm bringing Leon up right now is Craig Button was doing an interview earlier in the week where he was talking about Austin Matthews, and everybody talking about whether or not Austin Matthews is the league's best, when he kind of pumped the brakes on that conversation. Tyler, hit the button.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Like
Totally
he
with
is,
you.
like other than him getting tired later in the game and shifts and stuff, I think he extends his shifts where he looks really tired.
He's good enough. He can.
I think he's.
I'll tell you this right now, and
I think he's as good as anybody.
I think the talk about Austin Matthews being one of the best players in the league needs to stop, because he's not as good as Draisaitl. He's not even close to Draisaitl right now. And I know he's a scorer, but in terms of a complete player, not even in that cap. He should never be in the conversation until he shows that he's going to impact the game in the same way.
Man, it's hard to listen to guys like Jamie McLennan just gush over Austin Matthews.
Well, they
But it's so
both
good to
both
hear.
were
Who's the other guy?
Odog.
Brian Hayes and O-Dog. That's Overdrive on TSN.
Oh, that wasn't McLennan.
No,
that was McLennan to start.
Okay.
When he talks about how he extends his shifts a little bit. McLennan's a pretty balanced
He's
guy.
pretty even, I
He's
think.
an Alberta
Yeah,
boy.
fair enough.
O-Dog, though, is pretty Leafs heavy.
But man, off the top rope.
Yeah, Button just dunked on him. It was great.
Like we got to stop this. Like you cannot bring up his name anymore in this conversation. He's not even as good as Draisaitl.
It's not fair to Matthews. At the end of the day, it's just not.
That's fair.
When you're bringing him into a comparison with the guy that is the best player in the NHL right now, it's not fair to the guy. Crosby and McDavid you can have that conversation, but bringing Matthews into it, like Button said, he's not even the best guy on the he's not even better than the best guy on the Oilers, the second best guy on the Oilers in Draisaitl.
Yeah, I think sometimes Oilers fans, they're not Oilers fans, I shouldn't generalize. There is a section of Edmonton hockey fans who shit on Matthews way harder than he deserves to be shit
He's
on.
a hell of a hockey player.
He's a hell of a hockey player. I think he's a top 5 goal scorer in the NHL.
Absolutely.
I would push to make an argument he's a top 5 forward in the NHL right now. Like, I honestly think he's that good, man. And people are like, he's never hit 70 points. He's never done this, never done that. Okay, but watch him. Like, he's so good. And I agree, he's maybe not on the level of Draisaitl, and maybe top 5 is pushing it, especially how they're both playing this year. But Matthews is top 10, and sometimes I think Oilers fans just hear, Toronto, oh, fuck them.
But that's the Toronto media's fault because they're bringing him into these conversations that he's not shouldn't be in.
Okay, but like Oilers fans get so offended by it.
And that's why they do it, right?
It's exactly why they do it. They're playing to what they know is going to do it.
You get the clicks and you get people talking about your product and your show and the clip you have, and that's what you do. But like my advice to Oilers fans is don't take it personally.
No, for sure, but it's the disingenuous kind of conversation where we just pretend that Leon Draisaitl isn't the second most elite goal scorer right now. You know, we watched Ovechkin and Draisaitl going at it last night, which was amazing to watch.
That deflection on the OV goal, I know,
unreal.
Quick side, unreal.
That shot by Ovechkin that Koskinen made the save on early in the game, like it's unbelievable to watch those two guys play. But
Nick, your thoughts on Austin Matthews? You've been waiting patiently.
We just tried to drag that convo out so that Nick could rage a little bit more.
Well, first off, Craig Button is my spirit animal. I love that, you know, a good Western Canadian kid, no, he's not a kid, but good Western Canadian guy is just tearing the Toronto media down from the inside. Austin Matthews is not a point-a-game player yet. I got to bring that up again. He's nowhere close to top 5. Like, he's not. Like, he's electrifying in a way, I guess. He's a good player. But like Dan said, Crosby's always up there. Kucherov is the reigning Art Ross winner.
McKinnon,
you know, even Malkin when he's playing, he can make an argument. But if you're talking like what Craig Button says in that clip, he's talking about all around play. And you know, a guy like Anze Kopitar, I'm kidding, Rick. A guy like Sasha Barkov, though, Alexander Barkov is a player you have to think about who's a 100-point player. Man, you can even make an argument that like Brad Marchand is almost, you know, exceeding an all-around play better than Austin Matthews is.
I would say Pasternak's better than Matthews.
Exactly. But I will agree with what you're saying, Dan, is that it's not fair to the player in the sense that I think when Craig Button is sitting there and he's going, this talk has to stop, he's talking to the guys who are in that room with him, and especially O-Dog. And, sorry, I know you said Jamie McLennan, but it's actually Noodles on Overdrive, which you have a national radio show and you have two guys called O-Dog and Noodles. Like, that's the most college radio thing I've ever heard in my fucking life. But anyway,
Overdrive's actually a really good show.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is for, you know, I think you might be a closet Maple Leafs fan over there, Yaremchuk.
No, I just think they get shit on so hard by Oilers fans, and it's like, man, the Leafs are a really fun hockey team to watch.
They're like 5-4-2 or whatever. So
to me, this whole argument is kind of like when they used to compare Jack Eichel to Connor. It was completely unfair to Jack Eichel.
Yep.
He's a hell of a hockey player.
First overall pick in any other draft, right?
Absolutely. 100%. But to compare the two is just, it's unfair.
It is.
It's unfair and it doesn't make sense.
It's a media thing. It's a media-driven thing, and everyone said it very well. It's just about pissing off the other fan base and getting people to read it and talk about it for now, however long we've been talking about it.
Amen.
But, yeah.
You also have to remember, like, there's the media that does that, but where are the majority of their viewers? People are like, every highlight show leads off with Toronto. And
it's called Leafs Overdrive, is it not?
No, it's just called TSN Overdrive.
No.
Well, fair enough. But it is a
But
Toronto.
like the biggest segment of fans, no doubt. Leafs fans.
Right,
are
like
the biggest
Leafs
segment.
fans are the biggest fan base in the country.
Is that true, though?
Yeah, man.
Absolutely it
How
is.
many people live in Toronto compared to the rest of Canada?
Or even just
Montreal, I think not just the city of Montreal, but like if you go to the East Coast, Dan, you're from the East Coast. Are there not a lot of Montreal fans out there?
There's a lot of Leafs fans too,
there's
though.
Montreal, there's Boston, and there's Leaf fans.
I think it might be a little like we don't know the numbers. We just sort of take it for what it said that Maple Leafs fans are the biggest fan base. Like
I bet you it's not even close.
There's a reason.
I bet you it's closer than people think, especially nowadays where there's like tons of fans in Canada who are fans of American teams. Like I don't know if the Toronto fan base is the biggest one. This is what TSN. Sorry, but this is what the TSN and CBC and some of these. Even some Sportsnet radio out there will have us convinced is that like, yes, this is the most important fan base. This is the fan base. Again, this is not against them. This is against the way the media spins it. I don't know if it's actually the case.
Man, the media is not sitting there being like, we're all Leafs fans. We need to talk about the Leafs 24/7.
I think that's exactly what it is.
No, man, are you kidding? You do know this is their job, right?
Yeah,
like they have market research and they know what drives ratings, and it's Leafs talk.
But it's foolish to think that journalists and reporters who are based in Toronto don't grow up or aren't actually Leafs fans. Like it's just the case when all.
You think Elliot Friedman's a Leafs fan?
I don't know about Elliot Friedman, but I think a lot of those guys, like we just talked about TSN Overdrive, are all Leafs fans.
O-Dog is for sure.
Like to Tyler's point though, Nick, it's CBC television or Sportsnet, whoever you want to say, Rogers, whoever you want to say curates the schedule. They're not going to put the Leafs on Saturday night for 24 weeks in a row, or almost in a row, out of the 27 weeks there are, unless they knew that that's the fans that are going to show up the most.
I'm not saying that the Leafs aren't the second biggest, or they might even be the biggest fan base. I'm just saying that we say this blindly without even knowing it.
Well,
That's all I'm trying to make the point here.
I know,
I'm
but we're
not
just looking
even
at the
saying that
evidence,
there's
though.
more Oilers fan. Yeah, but there's no evidence. The evidence is just that they're doing it.
yes.
But
And
we
they're
don't
doing
have-
it
based off
for
of their
a
own
reason.
evidence.
They're not just doing it because they're like, it's not like some executive at Sportsnet. It's like, fuck, I just love watching Austin Matthews plays. Primetime. And you know what? Radio hosts, everyone talk about him more. They do it because that's what their market wants.
You're absolutely correct. I think in the thought that the Canadians fans may have outweighed Leaf fans at one time, but the Canadians fan base has died. They're dying. They're slow. They're getting older. And Leaf fans,
They are almost quite literally dying. Yes.
And Leaf fans have been ingrained, whether it's the CBC creating
accurate?
it or whatever it is.
Is this a real thing?
No,
That,
yeah.
like the demographic of Canadians fans is shrinking.
Well, the glory days,
That
yes.
sounds like an insane claim.
Yeah,
That sounds like an insane claim. To
I'm
me.
also going to call you out
That's
on
fine.
where those numbers are coming from.
That's
That
fine.
sounds like a pulling out of Dan's ass.
I'm not pulling any numbers. I didn't say I said any numbers.
It's
All
kind
I
of
was saying is the
understandable though,
Canadian
because if you
fans
look at
are-
everyone's grandfathers and stuff, they're always like Leafs or Montreal.
definitely-
And Justin Nielsen.
Technically, they're all starting to fall off like that.
But Montreal was like one of the feature games on CBC Hockey Night in Canada when it started, and that has since changed.
Well, that's because there was like 5 channels back then. I want to give a shout out again to our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. I know they love when we argue. If there's one thing that the boys at Sherwood Ford right now are happy about, it's all of you guys yelling about the Leafs and the Canadians.
Never heard of them.
As far as Rick and I know,
We're
those
20
teams
minutes
don't
into
even
this
exist.
podcast.
Those teams don't even exist. But you know what does? Sherwood Ford's Twitter account, which is at Sherwood Ford, and Instagram account, which is Sherwood Ford _ the Giant. Go check them out. Go help them raise food for Scaring October. I said that way weird.
Yep, they are raising the food.
Raising food. They are growing wheat themselves.
like
they are
the dead.
planting things. They have swathers. They are out in the fields. They're doing it all.
But yes, could you please bring food to them so that they can raise the stock of food at the Strathcona Food Bank? There we go.
Going back to the Oilers, I want to talk about Connor and Leon some more because I love them.
Hell yeah.
Right now, Connor McDavid is averaging 23.09. Leon Draisaitl is averaging 23.59. Are you, gentlemen, worried about how much they are playing relative to their teammates? Obviously, they're the best players on the team. They're going to carry the mail most nights. But are they playing too much? Are they playing too much? Rick?
I don't know. I don't. These guys are the best athletes in the world. They know how to take care of themselves. They're eating properly. They're resting properly. They're having downtime. You know, when it like practice day, they're getting maintenance days. They're well taken care of. Sure, maybe it'll eat up on you a little bit near the end of the year, but I do think that throughout the season, it will kind of drop a bit. This still, to me, just says, you know, the secondary scoring is not there, therefore they can't be put on the ice. Therefore, you got to keep 97 and 29 out there a lot longer.
We're first in the league. We're winning games. We've won a lot of games that, you know, maybe we didn't expect to be in this position now. Not necessarily all Connor and Leon. The goaltending definitely has
Goaltending's
helped
been
out
huge.
there for sure. But I mean, I think it's a small sample size. I mean, I know that people are reporting the news and a lot of the Toronto, you know, Twitter types are putting those minutes out there.
Is
But
Mr. Babcock the one who's upset about how many minutes they're playing?
I'm sure Babcock has an opinion about it, but it's I think it's just a small sample size. It'll come back down to earth. Yeah. You know, and the other thing too, right now, Connor McDavid just had the best third period of his, you know, of the year for sure. And so I don't think he's showing any signs of getting tired.
It's far too early for it to happen, though. It's like these guys they could be playing every night and it'd still be fine right now.
Yeah.
It's when, you know, it's January, February, March, when you kind of lose a little bit of the motivation. You're game 50, game 55, game 60. You're not quite in the playoff push quite yet.
And I guess I hope that the bottom six has then come around. We're all hoping that. Or we've called
you
up
mean
Yamamoto, right?
Yeah. I'm still on board with this.
Well, there might be an opportunity here to call up Yamamoto because we got some Oilers news.
We do
boy.
have some breaking news that
Oh,
Tyler
boy.
just handed me. Josh Archibald was placed on the IR today for 2 to 4 weeks with a foot fracture. So there's going to be another spot open in that bottom six. They're going to have to make some kind of movement there.
That guy's been hurling the body around for the last 2 games.
Yeah, his hit against what's-his-face the other day was
Greenway.
just ridiculous because that was a big tree coming down.
He gave up 4 inches in height to Greenway.
As far as the ice time thing goes, so I have an article that's going to go up probably tomorrow morning on Oilers Nation. And
Humble brag.
well, I'm just saying it's covering some of these things here. Bottom six scoring and ice time. So to put into context, obviously Draisaitl is leading the league in forward ice time. McDavid is second. The next closest forward is Mika Zibanejad. So as far as including defensemen, as far as time on ice goes, that puts Draisaitl at 23rd in the league. Connor, I think, is 32nd. And then Zibanejad is like 34th, and Zibanejad is 42nd. So they're like way outplaying any other forward even close to them in the league. So I don't know if it's hard to say, because like Rick kind of made the point, like as far as the kind of athletes they are, they're kind of unprecedented. I mean, especially McDavid, right? He's an unprecedented athlete. So maybe, I think Gregor put out a tweet earlier saying something about like what his ice time was last year, and it never really fluctuated much from where it is now.
Connor's up about 20 seconds from last year. Leon's up about a minute.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they can sustain it. Like, who knows?
I just feel like a minute per game for these guys when you're getting a day or two off in between. And maybe I'm like simplifying it too much and just being someone who obviously doesn't know what it's like to be in the NHL. But I just feel like, how much difference does a minute really make over the course of a season per game, right? If it was like if Draisaitl was a guy who was playing like 17 minutes a game or 18 minutes a game, and now all of a sudden he's playing 24, I'd be like, fuck, 6 minutes a game is a lot. But a minute, that's an extra 2 shifts. Like,
yeah, and I think the big problem, like Dan said, is they're relying so heavily on those two because the bottom six aren't doing jack shit.
Oh, and that's
We've got Kara right now, Granlund, Sheehan, Archibald, who's now out for a couple of weeks, and Patrick Russell, all without points. Combined 45 shots on goal for those guys. Yeah. So I think if the bottom six was able to contribute a little bit more, Connor and Leon probably would be down a minute or so each.
So to put that into context a little bit too, so there's only 2 teams that have as few players with at least 1 goal scored on their roster right now. The Bruins and us both only have 10, and the Red Wings have 9. There's like 18 teams that have 13 or more players with at least 1 goal scored. Right now, we're on pace to have just as many double-digit goal scorers as we did last season. So if it's something we're looking for improved depth coming to this season, it's not really showing. I mean, granted, again, it's early. You always have to give that caveat. But
of course.
It is something I think to be concerned about a little bit.
I think so. I think that there are a lot of guys, like we talk about scratch tickets on this podcast a lot. There's a lot of scratch tickets that aren't paying off right now.
Holy shit, Marcus Granlund's bad.
Marcus Granlund is the crust on dry toast. I've downgraded him from dry toast to the crust on dry toast because nobody likes the crust on that. He is, I don't want to take shots at Marcus Granlund because he's doing whatever it is that he does. And I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but like, fuck me, man.
He's just out there cashing checks. And like a lot, and that's kind of the problem I'm having with this bottom six is they're not even generating, right? Like Granlund's out there, it feels like 90% of the time Granlund's just coasting and Jujar's just coasting. Archibald moves well, but it's kind of empty calories. Chason's in the top 6, but he doesn't really look like he's doing a whole heck of a lot.
Passenger
there's not even anyone who you can look at and be like, they just need a bounce. They need a bounce because like even Patrick Russell,
Nygaard's kind of okay.
Yeah, I like Nygaard, but he's
been out forever. Yeah.
I thought Gagne was okay.
Gagne had that chance at the start of the game, and I was like, oh boy, if that went in, that's a different game.
But like to me, it's not even a lot of like grade A chances where you're sitting there. I mean, like they're this close to breaking out.
Well, it's not. It's the guys that aren't stirring the drink. That's the thing, right? Like Yurcho has had some shifts where he's starting something, but he's also around. He's surrounded by the bottom 6 that isn't. He's
just invisible. How many shots? The dude doesn't even know shots.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. He
get no shots.
He has to start shooting.
It's. I said this last week. Let's do this. Call them up.
So Rick last week's podcast,
I did say after Halloween for the record,
talking about when it's time to pull up Kaylor Yamamoto, and our own Dusty Nielsen responded to Rick on yesterday's episode of Inside the Nation. We pulled that for you, buddy. Tyler, push the button.
One thing I definitely would not do is bring up Kyler Yamamoto. And all you boys at the Nation, you track down Rick. Or you track down my boy Rick from the Pint and tell him to stop calling for Yamamoto to be called up. I don't want to slap him on Twitter, but I want to slap him on Twitter.
I love it. Let's go. No, why not? I honestly...
Because you're going to surround him with what in the bottom 6?
Well, no, okay. At that point, I did say at that point, you do have to start to separate the 3 centers.
So,
and then you might need to bring up 2 of the wingers, actually.
Yikes.
And Benson's almost played 100 games in the AHL, right?
Yeah,
for 3 seasons, almost 100 games. If that's not time to be pulled up, when is 200 games?
If I'm pulling up Kaylor Yamamoto, I'm putting him with James Neal and Nuge.
And that's fine. Yeah, and I did say that. Put him on the second line. Put him in the second line. And you give him 2 real top 6 forwards, which anyone else we've ever rushed like this has never actually had 2 top 6 wingers to play with.
Puljujärvi did for a bit.
I will say, as much as Rick took shit from Dusty Nielsen, I was talking to Jason Gregor after the Pizza Pig out, and he was saying...
We have a champion, by the way, at the table.
Yeah, that you're talking to him. No, Gregor was saying that he agrees with Rick. That I mean, he didn't say that.
And even if you just give him 2 weeks, and even if it's just like, all right, you're coming up for 2 weeks.
And that's the thing, is that if Yamamoto comes up and he gets a couple goals and maybe he kickstarts one of the other guys going there, whether it's Chase on or whatever, he gets somebody else that he kind of clicks with, then that person takes off from him, and then they just quietly send Yamamoto back, and he goes and keeps doing what he's doing with the Condors.
To me, the bottom 6 is a concern. Kyler Yamamoto playing him on the second line isn't going to fix the bottom 6.
No, but what it does do is it pushes guys back down.
Do you really think Chason's going to stir the drink down there?
I agree. He's not.
I don't think he's going to stir the drink down there, but I think that if we are pulling up Kyler Yamamoto, he would be, he'd be a better fit on the second line with Nuge and Neal than Chase on. Probably.
And what if you bring him up and put him there, but then you also bring up like a Gambardella, even a Josh Curry, someone like that to play in the bottom 6?
Brad Malone.
So looking at the Condors' leading scorers right now, Dan's boyfriend Brad Malone is actually leading the team.
Yeah, shut the fuck up then.
6 points.
They need him. They need him down there then.
With 6 points in 5 games.
No, hold on.
No,
You want to call up the leading scorer in Yamamoto 2 weeks ago?
That dude does not have an NHL career ahead of him though.
Then that's fine. To me, that's fine because that's the point. Is that if he comes up and he's total ass, you can sit him in Popcorn Alley and it's not going to hurt him.
He might appreciate the paychecks.
It's going to hurt Kyler.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not going to hurt Yamamoto.
To sit in Popcorn Alley if he's not working out?
You're bringing him up for a couple of games. You're playing. If it doesn't work very well, you put him back down. You give someone else a shot.
I just don't want to disrupt what Yamamoto has going on down there. I think it's really good for him.
And sitting him in Popcorn Alley does exactly what Ken Holland said he didn't want to do.
I never put him up there.
But I'm saying even if just calling him up and he struggles and then sending him right back down, that's what Ken Holland said at the start of the season he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, but you're just giving him. How else are you going to know he has an opportunity to play or not? When is he going to be ready to go? Why is it all of a sudden at the end of this year he's going to be ready to go?
I guess my thing.
What changes?
And the thing that I think was coming from last week's conversation, which Bag Milk and I just kind of checked out of, but was that it's like, why does it have to be right this second for him? Why does it have to be 4 and 6 games into the season for him?
It has very little to do with him. It has to do with the fact that our bottom 6 ain't doing shit. All these scratch tickets we brought in aren't doing shit. So do you want to keep making Connor and Leon? And just like, all right, guys, it's up to you guys or nothing.
I understand what you're saying because you're saying that you want Nuge down on that third line.
Bring anybody in because we got no assets to trade.
But you want Connor, Leon, Nuge separated.
If we can do it, that'd be great.
So I get where you're coming from on that, and I just don't think that can happen right now.
Why?
Because they're the guys that are making games win. They're making. That was a fantastic sentence.
Making games.
Please cut that one just for my personal tape
keep
there,
that in there. Yeah,
Tyler.
No, leave that there.
But no, bring it. Give it to me for a personal usage.
It doesn't supposed to rain today.
Exactly. That was a shout out to Chris. But
R.I.P.
But those are Connor and Leon being together is why we're winning games. That's why we won that game
because we're forced to play them together.
Yes. But
wouldn't it be really rad if we were able to put?
You can't call up Yamamoto and be like, "Oh, I hope it works."
Why? That's what you do every time you put a player in the lineup. You go, "Oh, I hope it works."
But that's the point: is that you can
call
Leon
and Connor together. We're going, man. I really hope this works to fix up.
You can call up a Josh Curry, and you're not going to derail the guy's career. And
you're not going to derail Yamamoto's career by bringing him up. Did they not just bring up? The Sharks just brought up Gregor's nephew for the exact same thing.
Well, and that's why I think Gregor's on your side because he's a little softer.
But I'm just saying, everyone just good organizations don't do this. They're watching an organization do that right now.
Yeah, but we're not them. We don't have that luxury. We don't have 6 guys to come
We have
up.
a Yamamoto to
we
bring
didn't
up.
find Yamamoto in the undrafted because he had an amazing season.
It doesn't matter how you got him. It doesn't matter that he's in your system.
He's the guy that we need to be in our top 6.
He's there.
And be successful. Call Josh Curry up. Call up
what's
the
he
beard.
going to score?
Call up the beard.
Why? Why do you think he's going to score all of a sudden?
Because he played well last year.
He was okay. So he kind of fell off a bit after his initial push, but I don't know. I understand the argument for bringing up Yamamoto. I don't think it's the right time. I want to see him just keep dominating the A and just keep developing, working on his thing. And I don't know.
It's just a logistical change for me. That's my issue. Not having to split up the lineup anymore. by bringing in a Josh Curry.
I know you brought it up at the start, Rick. I kind of like the idea of Benson. I looked it up. He's played 79 AHL games.
Yeah,
I said it was around 100. So it's 79 he's played. He has 74 points in 79 games in the AHL over better part of 3 seasons, right? Yeah. So I don't know.
I see Yamo be more of a shooter and more of a scorer than Benson. That's why I was kind of going there. But honestly, at this point, I don't care who they bring. Just bring somebody up and get these damn scratch tickets out of the fucking way.
The last thing I'll say is that as far as some of these lower guys go, as far as like expected goal rate, like their expected goal percentage goes, if you want to take that with a grain of salt, Chiasson is actually like basically second on the team right now, right behind McDavid. So Chiasson is.
Why? Where does this come from? They shouldn't be second on the team for anything.
Well, it's how they basically rate what your possession chances are and your goal chances you've had, and if you're the percentage you're expected to score. So Chiasson is second based on.
Are we getting this from one of those globes? You shake a magic ball.
Anyway, so Chiasson is second behind McDavid, and then Patrick Russell is another guy who's on the better part of the 50%. So
He's trying to make Patrick Russell happy.
I'm just saying there are some players in the bottom 6, even though they haven't converted yet, that there's a chance that they're on the cusp of doing it. So
is this one of the new stats that people actually use a lot of? Like, is it?
Yeah. So
goals for percentage, absolutely. Yeah,
expected goal percentage is sort of like the new course in the sense that like,
and but if it's saying that Russell and Chiasson are upper end Oilers in this, like, I think is ridiculous.
It's not, Rick, you're misunderstanding. It's not saying that they're upper end Oilers. It's saying based on opportunities they've been having on the ice over the course of whatever it is, the 10, 11 games we've played, that they're expected to convert. So once Chiasson, for example, Ethan Bear was like third on the team with an expected goal percentage. Once he scored his second goal, he dropped because now the way the numbers work, the averages work. Now he's going to basically have to work back up.
Man, I remember watching hockey.
My head hurts.
That was way cooler than
if
this.
you want to get...
It's taking both sides of it.
Let him do his read. If you want to get a breakdown on all these nerd stats, Gregor actually has something up right now at OilersNation.com that explains all the fancy stats that people are talking about, how they work, how they're used in proper context. What I want to talk about is skipthedishes.ca because I'm hungry. We've been sitting here. We've been recording for 37 minutes. Nobody's feeding me. But what I did do, Tyler, you're going to appreciate.
Yegburger?
I do appreciate Yegburger.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you ordered Yegburger on Skip the Dishes.
No.
Combined a couple of sponsors.
But what I did do is I ordered from our friend Mary Brown's. Ooh. I got myself a Big Mary.
On Big Mary Mondays? $3.99.
It wasn't a Monday, actually.
Well, if you do it on Mondays, it's $3.99. Shout out to Mary Brown's.
I'm going to shout out to Mary Brown's on Monday for a Big Mary Monday. But I just ordered one because I was hungry and it was delightful. You know what else is delightful? They're bite-sized morsels of 100% breast meat chicken coated in Mary seasonings and served hot, crispy, and oh so yummy. Choose Thai for a kick of sweet heat topped with sesame seeds and massage your taste buds because it is what you deserve. They are on skipthedishes.ca. They have stores all over the city. Go check out our friends at Mary Brown's Chicken and Taters. Are we done arguing about goals for?
Yes.
Thank you. I want to talk about something positive. I want to talk about something awesome. I want to talk about Mikko Koskinen. We all expected this, right? Huh?
100%. This is what he was like at the start of last season.
It is true. Don't rain on my parade. Thank you. Mikko Koskinen last night's win got him to be the first goalie in franchise history to start at 5-0. Considering the teams the Oilers have had, what a weird stat that is, no?
See ya, Grant Fuhr. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
It is.
It's just like one of those, like, really? None of the great goalies, the Ranfords, the Fuhrs, the Andy Mogues, even Roley.
Tommy Salo.
Cujo, like none of them? Our boy Mikko. Right now he's 5-0 with the .235 goals against average and a .927 save percentage. Whew! We've talked about goaltending a lot on this podcast and about whether or not we should expect Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith to form a duo that can get the Oilers back to the playoffs. Right now, those dudes are playing fantastically. And even though last night Mikko Koskinen had 25 saves and an .893, I'd argue without him, there's no win last night.
Nope, you're right.
There's no win. And he's making big saves. He's making the saves you need your starter to make, and he's looking damn fine while he's doing it. And all the people that are kind of hating on him right now for something like last night, I was doing my thing on Twitter, and he got scored on by Ovechkin right in the slot over his glove hand
after like having 25 seconds by himself.
Exactly. Like if you look at that clip of Ovi in the slot, it looks like his controller disconnected because he was just standing there and not moving, waiting for something to happen, which it did. So last night on the Nation account, there was people being like, oh, over the glove hand again. Can we not add some context to this shit? That Alex Ovechkin, arguably the best goal scorer of his generation,
all time,
bold, standing in the slot with all kinds of time, is going to sink that most times.
And he stopped him earlier in the same area, not as much time.
Glove save.
But glove save.
He didn't squeeze the puck, but he made a glove save on Alex Ovechkin.
And Ovechkin was picking his corner.
Yes.
Ovi had a hell of a game yesterday. That was really fun to watch, like a future Hall of Famer play that well.
It's amazing how often that happens, Bag Milk, with the controller disconnect kind of thing with Ovi, where it's like he has a cloak invisibility.
We all know where he's going.
It's insane.
And still they can't stop
like
it.
Rick, I was rewatching the Oilers in 30 this morning, and on that goal, you just see the entire, like, both teams all go to that one corner pretty much, and Ovechkin is just, like Dan said, by himself, no player within 5 feet of him. And it's just, it's insane, mind-boggling. The guy's been able to do this for 13 seasons. He's just able to just find a way to just be by himself in the same spot every time.
And he has good players around him, but man, oh man, none of those guys are shooters. None of those guys are snipers like Ovechkin.
That's why he's so good, though. He just finds that spot. Like, I bet you if we did the same thing 20 years ago, I bet you'd find the same thing with Brett Hull.
Yep.
So back to Koskinen for a second. My question for you guys is this shocking to you how well he's played so far at a 927, Mike Smith's at a 925? Or is this still too early, too small a sample size? He's only had 5 starts. Mike Smith's had 6. Is it still too early? Tyler, you are reigning curmudgeon on the podcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a big Mikko Koskinen guy. Someone was giving me shit today because I kind of said, like, the Oilers don't have a goalie you win a Stanley Cup with. And, like, I don't know if I would necessarily put my money on Mikko Koskinen being able to take you through a whole playoff run by any means. But I do think he's an NHL goaltender, and I think he's really solid. Last year, we saw him when that D-core was healthy and when he first got into the league or first started his career with the Oilers, he was really, really good. He was holding them in games. He was delivering strong performances, and he's doing that again early on. I'm a believer in him. That's not me. Like, there will probably come a 5-game stretch or a 5-start stretch for him at some point this season where maybe you go, ooh, Mikko's not looking good. But at the same time, if they keep doing this kind of 2-2 thing, a veteran Mike Smith can stay rested. A maybe inexperienced NHL goaltender and Mikko Koskinen can stay nice and fresh as well. And I think this might actually be a recipe for success.
I have to blame one of our own, I think, for this one. The Squire, Jay Downton, came on this very podcast and brought us some intel from Finland that said it was not going to be a good start to the season. And I think that's where
they said he didn't get any better.
Yeah,
I think that's what he said.
And I think that's where my fear came from. I'm blaming Jay.
No, everybody still was afraid of what happened in the last half of last year for sure. Like everybody pretty much forgets what happened in the beginning. But I mean, 927, probably not. But 910, 915.
But if he can stick a 910, 915, then you're in good shape.
Oh, yeah, no, we're still great. I mean, I think 910, 915. You can't ask for much more out of him than that.
9-15 and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl being this good gets you in the playoffs.
Yeah, to answer Bagmilk's question, yes, I think we can all say it's a surprise that Koskinen has come out the way he's playing. And I agree with Tyler. Like, having sort of the go between the two of them for a while is probably going to be successful. I was saying earlier up in the office that I think eventually Koskinen is going to pull away a little bit because I think he seems to be a little bit, from just watching, he looks, I don't know. Smith, like Tyler says, sometimes is a bit of a heart attack when he's going to play the puck or whatever, right? And Koskinen just seems a little bit more.
He's a little bit more calm and collected almost.
I was going to say structured, but I don't even know if that's the right word. But yeah, he just seems, if you feel more comfortable almost having him back there, which you would never have said in like March. But yeah, I think eventually it might get to a thing where Koskinen is probably playing and every like 3 games, and then Smith comes in for the 4th game or something like that as we move further down, because he just seems to be a little bit more of a rock back there. I don't know. That's what I've seen so far anyway. Their numbers are pretty close, like Bag Milk said. So it's hard to say if one's actually playing better, but it just feels like Koskinen is playing better.
I know we haven't had like a puck-moving goaltender here probably ever that is on the same level as Mike Smith. I guess Rolison was comfortable playing the puck.
Yeah.
And
he used to do that bat out of the air. play him all the
that
time.
Cujo a little bit. Yeah,
Cujo
yeah,
used to
that's for
flip
sure.
the stick around all the
Yeah,
time.
Cujo.
I felt like there was a couple times last night where Koskinen was like, where he'd go behind the net, and I'm like, man, are you Mike Smith or are you Mikko Koskinen? Because he's playing the puck a little bit more confident because he sees his other guy.
He's confident in his game though.
I like
Confident in his game. Mike Smith probably is rubbing off a little bit. Like, I mean, look at David Rittich down in Calgary. He's playing the puck a lot for the Flames right now. Just kind of, we've had a lot of early starts in the early part of the season so far, and the Flames tend to be after the Oilers game, and you kind of watch it, and Rittich is playing the puck a lot.
Yep.
Oh my God, how about that Cam Talbot goal the other night against Washington? Did you see it?
No.
Oh man, he was like, the puck came up along the boards, and he was already cheating to the middle and let this goal in from the half wall that went short side somehow. It was like, oh man. You want to see the guy succeed, right? Even if it with the Flames, but it's like, oh man, those are hard to watch sometimes.
Well, the interesting thing about that is, weak goal on Talbot, it is what it is. But like, I liked Koskinen last night. I don't think the Verona goal, the first one that Washington scored, was a good one at all. I think that he has to save that every time.
There's bad angles.
Bad angles. It was right against the boards. It was a weird spin shot. I think you have to save that every time. But what I liked about it is he didn't let that affect the rest of his night.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. Like last year, the year before even, but last year for sure, that would have been the collapse of the team. You like 2 goals in 47 seconds, and it was like, good night, Jim Kite. It's all over, and the team just has a battle back now. I know Connor had to come and do it for the offensive side of things, but you're right, Bagmill, Koskinen did.
Well, I think everybody was actually just a little bit better. They didn't get down on themselves, but I mean, a big part of that I still think is the swagger that Mike Smith brings.
Sure.
You saw the way he gave away those 2 pucks in the first whatever game it was, and it didn't really affect him though, right? Like, he didn't get down on himself. He was the exact same person he was before the game as after the game, and that's exactly what you want out of a team, regardless of what's going on the ice at the time. You gotta keep your confidence and just play your game. And if they keep doing that, then we're laughing.
Guys, we got to get to our giant question of the episode, brought to you by Sherwood Ford the Giant. I floated it out on our Instagram and Twitter, but the question is, with the Oilers' bottom 6 continuing to struggle, would you, if you were Dave Tippett, consider splitting up Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl? Some of the responses we had on our Instagram. Willie's House said, they're not the problem. It's our bottom 6. They need to make trades or bring some kids up from the minors. Big Safai said, Tippett did that, and it didn't really work. The blender was out, and to my eye, it had the opposite effect that Tippett wanted. We have to find solutions in our bottom 9 that don't create more problems. My take on it is, you got the best duo in the NHL. Don't touch them. But I thought I'd float that out to you guys for Sherwood Ford.
You can't touch the top right now. I said that.
The only way you do it is if you do bring up the kids bring up a couple of kids. Because
even then, I'm not splitting up McDavid Draisaitl.
Well, I think if you brought up if it was like Yamamoto and Benson, I think you have to at that point, because those guys need to be with somebody better. But right now you can't. Putting Connor with Yurcho and whoever isn't fucking changing a damn thing. So you definitely roll what they're doing right now.
I like this answer from Robert on Twitter, who responded to our Sherwood Ford question of the day. He says, to me, it's like, sometimes I can't get a glass of water when I'm thirsty, so we should separate the hydrogen and oxygen. It doesn't work. I like that.
That duo's been what's keeping the Oilers alive.
And they are so good together. And one thing that drives me crazy is when people are like, oh, well, Leon's only good because of Connor, or Connor's only this because of Leon. It takes a skill for those two to play with each other. We saw Milan Lucic up with Connor for a couple of years and nothing happened. We saw guys come and go from that wing with those two that haven't been able to make it stick. Playing together as effectively as they do is incredible. And I wouldn't split it up.
I'll put it this way and see if this is a fair enough comparison. It's like breaking up the Sedins almost at this point.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you would never, there were great players individually, and there were the couple seasons where Henrik had to play by himself, and I think he won an Art Ross, did he not? And then Daniel had to play another year by himself, and they were still great players, but they were always the best when they were together. And it doesn't make sense that you would ever really play them apart when they bring out the best in one another, like Milk said.
I still believe that if we could split them up, it would be amazing.
It's ideal.
It would be amazing. But at this point, like, the Nygaard injury is hurting you there because you just don't have the versatility on the wing that we used to. And then the fact that, our bottom six is a bunch of passengers right now.
I'll say this too, though. Other than the Minnesota game and up until like halfway through the third period last night, the Oilers haven't lost an ugly game yet.
Not really.
The games they've lost, they've been in it. That Winnipeg game, both teams were in it. Back and forth. Rick shaking his head.
The first period against.
rough.
Well,
No,
I would
that's
say
what I said. The Minnesota
arguably
game was the ugly one.
I would say arguably the first period, specifically of that Minnesota game.
Absolutely. Eric Stahl, of course, scores again. It was the same thing. Like scores 2 goals within a minute or whatever, right?
You can't spot an NHL team 3 fucking goals and expect to win games.
Exactly. And then the Chicago loss, we've talked about it. They looked tired. End of a road trip. Start of the season. Yeah. And they only lost by a goal, did they not? Or was it 3-1? I don't remember. But
Netter, though, I think.
Yeah. They've only had one ugly loss. So even if the bottom six isn't contributing offensively, at least it's not costing the team anything.
Well, I think, and to your point there too, I think that the fact that the bottom six is killing penalties still, they're doing the stuff.
Not the
that
bottom
they
six. Like there's the fourth line is and
yes.
Granlund.
Yeah.
But the other two aren't doing shit.
Well, but I think that's where Tippett has the leash that he's given a little bit more to those guys than he probably would otherwise. This kind of production.
Just the rest of those wingers on that third line is just they're not doing anything, man. You might as well start bringing, and like I said, it doesn't even have to be Yamamoto at this point. Bring up, maybe Marodi's time it's time for him to get that center spot. And you can bring up a Marodi and Gambardella or Benson or whatever. But we need to start. No, Malone's
Nobody
not
cares about Brad Malone, Dan.
No.
Although I do say, if there's a bigger Brad Malone supporter out there, we haven't found him. One thing I want to end off, we've got about 10 minutes left in today's podcast. I want to talk about my boy Nuge. Last night in the wrap-up comments, he was taking a ton of heat for being unable to score, and I want to talk about it because this is absurd. This is absurd. It's not like he's not getting any chances. By my count, and roughly this is just me eyeballing, what has he got, 7 posts this year, roughly? Last night he got robbed twice by Holtby. The goal he did score was an absolute laser beam. This kid is getting chances. He's just not getting any puck luck right now.
0 puck luck.
And the fact that people are saying, well, he's not a second line center because he's not producing is completely ridiculous. You're not watching the game.
He's also got Chase on his team, on his line, that's been arguably one of our worst top 6 forwards.
The pair between him and Neal is going very well. And Nuge's luck is going to turn around. He's going to get the bounces eventually as long as he keeps getting these kind of chances. It doesn't make any sense to me, the people that are whining about Nuge saying he's playing like shit. It's just not the fact. It's just not true.
No, they're wrong.
And he's also leading the team in takeaways. He's looking like a dirty little puck thief right now, and I'm all about it.
Oh, the thing that you see with guys when they get down on their schneiden is that then they start to, the rest of their game starts to kind of fall apart because they're fighting it to put it in the net. But with Nuge, it's like, man, like that giveaway that he had in 3-on-3 against Winnipeg, and then he
went back and took it back
in nowhere.
Oh fuck! I gave the puck away.
Takes
all right,
that
hold
shit
on,
back.
I'll get it back. Give me a sec, guys.
You can understand if he's 4 feet behind the guy. You understand if maybe he doesn't catch the guy, but he wasn't being denied on that.
And that was Blake Wheeler too. We're not talking about like some schlub that he went and caught and stripped.
He's one of the best in the league at doing that.
He works his ass off
you and getting that fucking puck back.
And the hockey gods and puck luck will come around.
This is all skill. This is.
Thank you, gods, but no. I would love to see what he could do with like a legit, like this summer. I project that they have enough money to go out and get like a $5 million winger.
What kind of name? Give us a name.
I don't know. I haven't really looked at it. It might not even be free agency, but it might be someone.
Give us a player type, like this kind of guy. Perhaps.
Like a cheaper Taylor Hall.
Jonathan Drouin?
Yeah, maybe it's someone like a Jonathan Drouin.
5.5 cap hit, I believe.
Yeah, like I think they could fit in someone like that, and it doesn't need to be free agency, but it can be through a trade. Like you saw the way New Jersey like weaponized their cap space this summer, right? Going out and getting Gusev for dirt cheap, getting Subban for dirt cheap. I think Ken Holland will be in a position where maybe he can do that this summer, and I'd love to see Nuge 82 games with James Neal on one side and another $5 million winger on the other side, and actually have like a stud second line because he's good and he's doing everything he can right now, and Neal's a nice option as well. But there's still just that little bit of an element where he's lugging too much dead weight, I think, and I'd love to see him like let out of his cage to
somebody can handle their own on that right side would be great.
And I'd like to see him, like I said, just get a little puck luck, just a little bit of luck. Maybe he needs one to bounce in off his ass or something. Do you know what I mean? Like those weird hockey universe type things that just kind of need to happen. Maybe that's what he needs right now.
Like Nurse's goal, right? Nurse like banked it in off a skate or whatever, like however that went in.
Didn't skate into the boards this time.
He didn't skate it into the boards, and he threw it in the front in the net.
Exactly.
Nice.
But yeah, that's what Nuge needs. He needs to get one that deflects off a defenseman's skate and goes 5-hole, and then it's like, all right, he's feeling her again.
That was such a good way to end a shutout streak.
Yeah, just the nicest bounce.
Just the weirdest garbage goal.
Yeah.
I love it.
The own goals.
It's so funny.
Things are changing.
But you know what? That's the nice thing about hockey is it's not like scripted in the sense that they're going to score a beautiful passing play to end the drought. It was some shithouse bounce that Darnell threw it in the slot, and then you got lucky. It's the beautiful thing about the game. We've got a couple more minutes. I want to touch on something that I know Tyler's going to be happy about. Jesse Puljujarvi has got goals in 7 straight games for Karpat right now.
He's lighting it up.
He's lighting it up. And guess what it's doing for... Remember when everyone's like, oh, he'll go over to Finland and he'll light it up and his trade value will go through the roof. It hasn't affected his trade value, and it won't.
We don't know that, though.
He can be a point a game there. He can be a goal a game there. And I still think teams are going to look at the Oilers and go, that's nice, but what's he going to do on the small ice? What's he going to do in the NHL?
Why do you have to shit
Are you
on
not
him?
impressed at all by how he's playing?
Yeah, he's 21-year-old Oilers prospect who's lighting it up in Europe right now. I think there's plenty of positives, but to me, it's just tough because I think his NHL value is so ruined, and I know he's not coming back to the Oilers. So it's just... I get keeping track of it. I understand it. Dusty tweets about it all the time. And it is good, man. Like, you're keeping track of an Oilers prospect. It is a legit thing to keep an eye on. Just for me, from the fan side of me, looks at it and just goes, I see that success and I'm still just disappointed because I know it's not going to happen here.
Yeah, you know what, man? It's the guy's happy. You can see it. Yeah, he's happier over there. His family gets to watch him almost every game. The guy's enjoying the game again. And I think that will get him back to where he was when he was first picked. And if he gets another opportunity over here, and I won't take the Oilers out of contention to get him back probably next year.
Do you think he stays a whole year in Finland?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% he will. I can't see him coming back. Even if you were a team.
What's the deadline? Is it like November?
December I think 1. It's middle. Okay.
But like, even if another team acquired him like next week, I still wouldn't even see that team being like, it's best for your development to come join us mid-season and like try to get up to NHL speed now. I'd imagine it's like take the rest of the year, stay in Finland, be comfortable, be happy, recharge, and be ready for next fall.
Yeah, and that's why I think, you know what, if he comes out of it, he has a great year. Obviously, he's having one right now. If he's in a better mindset at the end of the year, and Holland's going to have to give him a call and try and figure out exactly what his deal is. Okay, you want to come back? Like, here's training camp. You know, here's your flight, whatever. No, you still want to get traded? Okay, whatever. We'll figure that out then. It is what it is, but I can still see him coming back and being in training camp next year.
I mean, I would love to see it. The Oilers desperately need depth on the wings because as we're talking about these scratch tickets, and we have for months now, we need guys who can contribute offensively. I don't know that Jesse can do it, but I would have more faith in him doing it than, say, I don't know. No offense to Josh Archibald. I know he got hurt today, but like I would assume Jesse would outscore a guy like Josh Archibald.
You would assume, yeah.
Would hope so, yeah.
Couple more items before we sign off. The brand new Hope Will Never Die line has got launched on nationgear.ca. It's sexy. We're all wearing it right now. You can't see us, but we are.
Yep, we're all wearing it. Even I got some.
We look great. Everybody that's wearing it in this room looks fantastic. The people that are not wearing it in this room, they don't look so great.
Do you know you can buy it at Little Brick now?
Little Brick has some. If you don't want to pay shipping,
not a great selection in sizes and all, but we try and keep everything stocked up.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Have you checked out the bomber jackets? They're dope. Rick's wearing one right now.
Fantastic.
I think those are so fucking sweet. I want one so bad.
Yeah,
so bad. Another thing is we are going to have a brunch party at the Brew House on November 2nd. That is an 11 a.m. game against the Penguins. This one's going to be free. There's not going to be any tickets required for this one. We just want to get everybody to get together.
And also you're going to be able to buy your Nation gear there as well.
We are going to have a pop-up store. We're going to have
Trivia.
We're going to have prizes to give away. We're going to be giving away a trip for 2 to Calgary to come with us when we go down to the Saddle Dome.
Those are usually pretty fun.
They are great. So the first one is going to be in January, I believe. Dan, is that right?
Yes, January the 11th.
So we're going to go down there.
Yeah.
We're going to have a big group of Finnish people with us too.
Almost
it's
a full bus of Finns and then the rest of us.
What I will say, though, is you've got a couple of months to work your legs out because climbing up to the gallery level at the Saddle Dome is a trek.
Which I've heard is actually quite empty these days.
Oh, can we move down?
Oh, that'd be nice.
We might be able to make an AMJ Campbell move.
You know where I'm going to end up though by the end of the night.
You're
I'm
going
gonna
right
be
to the alumni lounge.
Yeah, I'm going in the alumni lounge. I'm going to get into a box this time.
Can you hit me up with the date for that Calgary trip one more time?
January 11th, 2020.
January 11th, we are going down to Calgary. It is a fantastic time. If you've never been on one of these trips before, you absolutely have to do it because it's great. Outside of climbing up to the roof of the Saddle Dome. The Sherpas, however, to their credit, are very, very kind. Tip your Sherpas. They have a dangerous job, and they do it well. That's all going to be all for episode 59 of Oilers Nation Radio. I want to thank Sherwood Ford the Giant. I want to thank skipthedishes.ca. And, of course, I want to thank Mary Brown's Chicken and Taters for making it all possible. Go ahead and tell a friend about this podcast. Tell a coworker. Tell your cousins. If you see Tyler Yaremchuk out in the wild, tell him about it. He's on it, but he wants to hear about it. Have a good weekend, everybody. Tyler, push the button.
Shout out Damien.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.